Hello friends, this week I bring you chapter number 5 of the Baki manga. We had to wait a couple of weeks, but we finally had this chapter, and now we need to analyze it. It should be noted that next week there is no break, so I will bring you the next chapter on Tuesday. On the cover of this chapter, Yujiro Hanma is featured as the main character. It's the same illustration from previous chapters, but now with official colors. In the last chapter, we saw the return of Junichi Hanada, a character who hasn't been around for quite some time, and it seemed like Itagaki had forgotten about him, just like he did with other characters. Hanada came looking for Hanayama because he wanted to test his strength against him. It looks like this guy had been training in the shadows, and now he was finally ready to showcase the results of all this hard work. Hanayama accepted the challenge, and the two began their exhibition fight immediately. Hanada was boasting a bit and seemed confident, but just as he was talking to Kazaki, he was caught off guard by Hanayama's first strike. Hanayama's kick managed to cut Hanada's cheek, putting him on alert. However, Hanayama wasted no time and immediately prepared for his next move. Hanayama gathered momentum and unleashed his most powerful punch, a direct blow so powerful that it even made Yujiro Hanma bleed. The shock was immense as Hanada managed to dodge the punch, and he even caught Hanayama by the right arm, using his own strength to slam him to the ground. Hanayama had not anticipated that Hanada would react so quickly, and was therefore unable to redirect his attack. In the end, he ended up hitting his face on the ground and was knocked out for a few moments. Kazaki watched the whole thing and was stunned to see his boss lying unconscious on the floor of his own house. After a few minutes, Hanayama regained consciousness and realized that Hanada had left the house. He began to look around, trying to locate his opponent, but he seemed to have fled in a hurry. In this panel, we can see that Hanayama took a strong hit as his cheek was bruised, but it wasn't a serious injury to be overly concerned about. Hanayama was surprised, but not upset. He found the situation amusing, because he initially believed he could defeat Hanada with that punch. He became overconfident, and things didn't turn out the way he thought. Well, many of us were mistaken, thinking Hanayama would get up quickly, and the fight would resume. Surprisingly, that blow to the ground was enough to knock him out of the fight. On the next page, we see Mitsunari's mansion, and apparently, someone had come to visit him. On the dining table, there's a massive bone on a plate, which appears to be part of a cow's spine. Mitsunari comments that it is surprising that he can handle something like this without so much effort, considering that even lions have a hard time consuming a bone as hard as the spine. The old man compares him to a hyena, as these animals eat every last bone of their prey. However, when it comes to jaw strength, Jack is definitely stronger than any animal he's ever known. Mitsunari asks Jack what he thinks of his next opponent, Kosho Shinogi. He says that the fight is coming up and would like to know his opinion on it. Jack is still chewing on the bone and seems disinterested in the conversation. His only goal seems to be to consume the huge bone on the table. Mitsunari repeats the question, asking if he's forgotten about the man who will be his next opponent. Jack continues eating and doesn't respond. The old man seems impatient and says he'd like to know what he thinks of Kosho. He wants to find out if Jack sees this man as a potential threat or if he thinks he'll be an easy bite to chew on. Jack says he knows exactly who he is. He remembers meeting him in the past, but didn't pay much attention to him at the time. Mitsunari looks somewhat disappointed as he genuinely wanted to know Jack's thoughts on Kosho. On the next page, we see that Hanada had arrived at his master's dojo. Mothabe mentions that Hanada had been on a long journey and that he hadn't seen him for quite some time. He believes that during that journey, Hanada must have grown stronger and surely gained a lot of fighting experience. He says that he has also been training his body and mind during all this time and that he now sees himself as a more mature and wiser man. Hanada congratulates him, noting that it seems both have become better individuals after all. Mothabe remarks that life's hardships are the best lessons for a man, and he believes these lessons over the years have shaped him into the man he is now. Hanada jokes, saying that apparently none of those hardships hit him in the face, as he remains a handsome and good-looking man. Just then, someone else arrives at the dojo. In this panel, we can see bare feet stepping onto the dojo floor. This man was none other than Kosho Shinogi, who had come to visit Mothabe. Kosho says he is sorry for being late, but he did not expect to be invited on that particular day. Mothabe greets him and thanks him for accepting the invitation. Hanada is surprised to see this man and instantly realizes that he is a top fighter. Kosho expresses excitement about being in this renowned dojo, and mentions that all those weapons hanging on the walls are typical decorations for someone like Matabe. After all, he's known for bringing these kinds of toys to his most significant fights. Kosho walks over to where Hanada is sitting and calls him by name, showing that he knows very well who this fighter is. Hanada smiles and says that this is perfect, but he hopes he's not being considered just another toy in the dojo. With a quick move, Hanada gets up and stands in front of Kosho, indicating that he is ready for whatever Kosho has in mind. The chapter concludes with Matabe saying that both fighters are good trash talkers, making this a very intriguing duel. And well, this was a great chapter, and the best part is that next week we'll see the beginning of the fight between Kosho and Hanada. I think it's quite obvious that Kosho can't lose, as if he does, the hype for his fight against Jack will diminish. On the other hand, Hanada took us all by surprise, since he actually managed to defeat Hanayama. I thought it was just the start of the fight, but in the end, Hanayama ended up unconscious and calmly accepted his defeat. What's amusing is that Hanada did the same thing as Kihaya and fled the scene in a matter of seconds. I find the physical resemblance between the two fighters curious. Kihaya's design and personality are most likely inspired by Hanada, especially since Hanada was written first. In fact, Kihaya looks like a bigger and more muscular version of him. What do you think about Hanayama being used to show how strong Hanada has become? Do you think it was a bad decision that affected Hanayama's credibility as a fighter? This is a typical move in the series. When a new fighter is introduced, a main character usually has to be sacrificed to showcase the newcomer as a genuine threat. The fight between Hanada and Kosho is crucial since both have been gaining momentum in recent chapters. The one who loses the match will lose the credibility they've earned so far. I'm not sure it's a good idea to face them so soon, but at least it's not an official match in the underground arena. Otherwise, a loss would be detrimental to either of them. On the other hand, I found it curious that Jack seems so relaxed despite claiming to know Kosho. Jack is aware of what this man can do in a fight, yet he doesn't seem concerned. It's as if he already has a plan to counter each of Kosho's strikes. I hope Jack doesn't keep thinking that Kosho is the same guy he met in the Maximum Tournament, because that would be a big mistake. This guy has evolved significantly since he participated in the last tournament, and Jack could be in for a big surprise if he underestimates him. Another point worth mentioning is that we still don't know Hanada's true intentions. He unexpectedly showed up and challenged Hanayama to a fight. He did it with such confidence that it leads me to believe he might have a new and powerful technique in his fighting arsenal. Regardless, next week we'll find out if all our theories were accurate or if his victory against Hanayama was just a stroke of luck. It is also curious the fact that Baki still does not appear when normally he had always been present in the first chapters of each arc. I think this confirms what many of us thought. This arc will feature the return of several important characters, and this time Baki will not be the main character. But anyway, leave your opinion about this chapter in the comment box. Tell me what you thought of this chapter and let me know your opinion on Hanada. Do you think he deserved to beat Hanayama, or do you believe he'll meet the same fate as Kihaya? And well, friends, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked it. I hope you have a nice day or night. See you soon.